Allie, co-founder of PotomacBeads, and I am coming with you today with fun science experiments to some degree. We are going to be burning and cutting different types of thread and cord. I'm going to do a little review showing you some of the different types of scissors and thread cutters and cord cutters and burners, and we are going to burn, baby, burn. So we're going to burn through a bunch of different cords, and I'm going to show you what happens, which cords you do want to burn, what you want to cut, and so forth. So we are going to get started with burners. So there are three burners that we actually keep in stock here, and they require kind of different batteries. I have the Wildfire cord cutter, the Thread Zap 2, and then I brought back the Thread Zap Ultra. So I actually had to grab the Thread Zap Ultra off the wall because I really don't actually like it. It's the newest one, and I get how it is, you know, safety first, and it has a retractable end here. And I brought back the packaging so you could see exactly what's happening. And I am going to show you basically how this Thread Zap Ultra works and why I'm not a crazy fan of it, even though some people love it. You either love or hate your scissors, your needles, your thread, and your burners. So this one here from Beadsmith has a retractable end. What that means is you have to push up on this yellow piece, and as you push up on the yellow piece, that that end is going to become bright yellow or orange when there are batteries in it, and when there's not, that's why I'm touching it to my sins so you can see it a little bit more. It does, on a positive side, come with an extra replacement tip, so the replacement tip is in there. The Thread Zap 2, you can buy your replacement tips separately, same with the Ultra, but the Ultra does include one. Now the thing that I'm not crazy about is I have to concentrate on pushing this up, and I also have this rather big lip that's going to hold in that thread end that's got to be next to and close to my project. When I have something like the Wildfire cord cutter, I have all this space between the head of it and the actual burner that is not going to be in the way. So here I'm going to have, let's put this guy out here. Here I have that kind of bulky end right near me. Here I have nice more opening, and I can see a lot more of what's going on. All the cord cutters are going to do the exact same thing. So the difference in them is pretty minimal. One thing you will notice with your cord cutter is when the battery is dying. The battery does die. And I want to show you what one's performing look like with the battery functioning, with the battery dying, and then with a brand new battery in. That's one of the reasons I decided to do this Better Beader episode, because my Thread Zap 2 was dying with the battery. So here's the cord cutter. What's going to happen is you're going to press down on the little button, and it is going to light up these coils and conduct heat through there. It's going to burn down the edge of the thread, and this is Wildfire thread that's going to burn, and because it is a synthetic cord, you will notice how quickly it burns and becomes like a little bald end there. You also see a little bit of smoke. The smoke is going to vary depending on what you are burning. When you have a Thread Zap or a thread burner, you can see mine's burn up here at the end and kind of twisted up. That is not functioning well. Most likely the battery is dying. Here is my cord cutter with the battery dying. You can see it's still kind of working, but I have to pull that cord through. It's still heating up a little bit, but if you think, oh, my cord cutter is not working, it's taking forever, I kind of have to use it like a saw, chances are your battery, which you can easily replace, is just kind of failing. So here's that Thread Zap 2. It does come with a cap. I lost the cap a while ago. You drop out one of your batteries here and trash this so I don't find it and wonder if it's good or not. Throw another battery in there and screw back on that bottom. The Thread Zap 2 is going to take a AA. The Wildfire cord cutter is also going to take batteries, but when you get out the end here, you'll notice that it takes 2 AAAs. The new Thread Zap Ultra is also going to take batteries as well. And in the back here, you are going to notice that you will also need some AA batteries in there. So I've just replaced the battery. You're going to watch this needle and thread burn now. So remember how hard it was to cut. You're going to see it's already smoking because it had a bunch of gunk there on it. And ready and burn. So you can see how much quicker it is, how much faster it is, and actually that brand new battery really, really works quickly. So you see the smoke going on. It's kind of addicting to do and watch. And this thread, because it is synthetic thread, watch the episode on threads to know what's synthetic and what's not, is going to ball up nicely and kind of have that bald end. When you have something that is not treated, like a KO beading thread. This is 100% nylon. It too is going to burn, but what happens a lot with this is that you're going to get, and this is the gold color, you're going to get a look of it being burnt at the end, and you don't get as quickly that balled up. It's hard to see, I'm trying to get it to show you, but sometimes it'll actually even stick to the thread burner and you'll get like a little string there. You can also burn through some of the soutache. Soutache, when you burn through, same thing, it's gonna kind of ball up, the synthetic versus the natural thread there. And you get even more smoke with this one here. We even got a little bit of a light there. Now this will stop your ends from fraying a little bit, but not really because it doesn't have that coating on it. So you will still need to glue a little bit with that. When you're looking at some other synthetic threads, like this rat tail or cotton cording, you can see how it's going to burn. And here again, see how that kind of holds onto it and you have that kind of stringiness going on. That is going to be that synthetic that is burning. Now you'll also notice I'm starting to get a fair amount of gunk on my thread burner. If you don't want to burn through, and leather you'll just get kind of a burnt end and it smells a little bit funky. If you don't want to wreck the end of your thread burner, I would suggest having two tips of your thread burner. One that you can use with paracord, you can use with rat tail, it's gonna get a little gunky. And one that you'll use just with thread. It's better, as I introduce now the scissors, that we are going to, I'm gonna show you some of the different scissor options for some of these different threads and show you how easily or how hard it will be to cut these different cords. So that was my burner options that we went with, and now we'll go into our different scissors or snips or cutters. So now let's get into some of the different scissors or cutters and what I find them best for or what I don't like them for, etc. So the first one that I have here is the slip and snip scissors. I actually had these prior to beading, and I had them from a camping kit of my father's. They have stayed sharp for years. They have a nice beautiful kind of precision end, and they work really well for cutting. They also work really well for traveling because they compact in. Most people don't even know what they are. I've never been stopped with a scanner through them, and I've never had to give them up at an airport internationally or domestically. Most times I'm using thread. I'm using Wildfire cord cutter or Wildfire thread, and I'm using the cord cutter or the burner. I can also use the snip and slip pliers with it, but it's going to be more designed for working with kind of a little bit thicker cord. With the soutache, it's gonna work great with the yarn here, or with the waxed linen, with the rat tail. It works well too to get that nice cut in. Now, it has a nice kind of big surface area and works well for some of these different cords and leather. It's a little bit thick when I'm working with, say, a lacy stiff stuff or my leather backing. For that, I actually like the mini scissors with the gold handle. They have a pretty good cutting edge, and it's a precision tip, kind of nice and tight. When you are working with that material, say it's an ultra suede or a backing or something like that, it gives you a bigger cutting surface, but that nice tip, which we'll take it out here of these mini scissors. It also comes with a little protective end. We'll put our snip and slips away and get those closed up here. And the precision scissors here at the end, they have a nice, just kind of smooth, tiny bit of an arch that are really nice for cutting down some of that cord or some of that fabric when you're working with it. I tend not to like these, nor the snip and slips, for working with my thread. I generally am gonna throw my burner in the mix and not cut with those. In a pinch, I'll even use, if I'm somewhere, some nail cutters, and that generally will cut when you're working with some of those different synthetic threads. Now, when you are working with the synthetic threads, do not grab a regular scissors. Most likely they are not sharp off the counter and they're not gonna work. One thing that works really well is this Zirin cutters. And Zirin actually is a nice brand quality, and it's being sold kind of by Beadsmith, and it has a precision end. It has that kind of grooved and that flashback as you're working with that kind of comfortable grip. And when you're cutting, it definitely has a little bit thicker of an edge, so it's harder to get a little bit as close, but it's like, I mean, it cuts like a beauty. So it's one of the more expensive of the tools. It's still, you know, not that bad. It's a good investment if you are working especially with fibers. Making your own tassels, doing something with silk cording, these Zirin cutters are great if you want to invest in those. A thinner material that you don't want to burn and you want to cut definitely goes for these Zirin cutters. Again, always put the little lid on and put it back in the case if you have them. If not, put them in a nice safe place that people don't use them to cut paper or anything like that. Scissors, when it comes to beading, are often like sewing scissors. You want to use them for one function and that function only. These little extra fine thread snips are actually pretty nice when you're working with thicker materials. Now they are called extra fine, and I'll take them out here, and they do have kind of that little bit of a grip there. Take these off here, and you can see this is by far the tiniest and thinnest head of scissors that we have. When you're looking and kind of cutting, see how it doesn't actually often cut through that cord. It cuts it, but you have to be really, really at the tip there. This one didn't cut through one of the cords. What it is great for is cutting through some of the things that are just a little bit thicker or that are synthetic. So you can cut pretty nicely through the soutache. You can cut nicely through the cotton cording when you have it. Go back a little bit further, it's a little bit thicker, rather than actually burning and doing that there. Now, this is like the inexpensive version of the Zirin. Because of that thin head, that's why sometimes you need to do that multi-cut. However, if you are going close to a project, that allows you to get right next to it and do that little snip of the project. Most of the time I'm using a thin cord like that anyway. I'm gonna grab my thread burner and burn through with the burner. Now, the burner, again, I'm not going to use to cut my cotton cording into the length that I want. I'm not gonna use it to cut in with the satin cording or the rat tail cording. I'm not gonna even use it when it comes to working with soutache. The only time I use the burner as an actual cutter is when I'm working with Wildfire cord. Other than that, the fire line, I would use the burner to work as a cutter as well. The only thing to be aware of when you are using a burner as a cutter or getting the thread kind of established or off the spool is that it does create, burner here, it does create that balled up end. So if I have my end here, even if I burn right through it there, you can see it creates a little bit of a ball on that end. When you're going in and you're going to your needle, you do want to take a needle nose pliers here, flatten out the end of that thread. Other than for beading thread, even maybe sewing thread, or to get the occasional thread off a little dress or shirt. Other than that, I'm only going to use the thread zap to kind of burn and make the ends flush on some of the other thicker cords. I'm not using it to actually work as a cutter on the cord itself. For that, you want to stick to the scissors, and my recommendation for sure are the Zirin fiber scissors, a little bit more expensive, but definitely worth the investment. So you can take time and kind of burn away, make that kind of smoke happen. I love watching, and it's kind of that little pyro in me, watching the smoke rise from the thread burner. As I'm working with it, it becomes kind of addicting. You can see it burning the end of the thread there. And have fun working with your tools. Make sure you're working with them properly, putting back on those protective caps so that way you do not cut yourself or burn yourself. Even a suggestion with the burner, take out the needle when you're not using it, or the battery rather, and that will help protect it. Now, this is another one of those Better Beader episodes that I would love for you to comment below. When you comment below, it helps the beading community. Say what your favorite pair of scissors are, what your favorite pair or what your favorite burner is, your suggestions for whether or not to kind of glue the ends that you cut, burn down the ends that you cut, for all the different materials that you may use, what works best for you as well. Please, please comment below. It helps to build this beading community. As always with the Better Beader episodes, if you haven't watched them, please start from the beginning and watch the whole way through. Hopefully they are a wealth of knowledge for you. You can also subscribe to this YouTube channel to get regular updates from us here at PotomacBeads, as well as give a little thumbs up if you like the Better Beader episodes. Also remember, if you ever have any suggestions or questions, comment below and we'll look to do another Better Beader on that in the future. So have fun burning, cutting, snipping, skewering, really finishing off any of your threads and getting them to length. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and happy beading.